I suspect today might be a battle for all of us.
No,
I don't know.
No,
I sense,
it's going to be a great day.
I
Team
sense
Sharman.
a lack of energy. We've been battling technical issues for the last 10 minutes. I don't know. I just sense a lack of energy. We've got internet issues.
20 minutes, actually.
Was it 20, was it?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Energy. Okay, it's Footy Prime, everyone. It's a new week. JC's not here, but I'm here. I'm Shams. There's Dubs. There's Craig Forrest, Jimmy Brennan, and Dan Wong. Is that better? That sound better?
It's great.
Well, I don't know. Like, it's not a recap show because it's Tuesday. It's kind of dated. Put your finger away, Wonger. But there's still some big stories from the weekend we need to get to, which will probably encourage further conversation, right? I think we've got to start. Well, listen, first of all, this week is a Canadian Championship week.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. I always love that. Montreal Forge, for example. Are Forge favorites for this? I'm not joking, though. I'm not even joking. I haven't looked at I'll look at the book and see if we can find what the odds are. But given what we saw on the weekend with Montreal just being shellacked by the reborn, resurgent Toronto FC, 6-1. Just a rout. I think it's the highest score in TFC history, isn't it?
Yep.
Certainly on the road, but yeah, highest. I think. Oh Christ!
Craig, I'm going to put you on mute. Put your hand up when you want to talk. Your internet's being weird.
I think Forge should probably be favorites. They beat them last year, after all, right? Did they not?
They did.
So
I think
you're close to Montreal. What do you think?
The last 3 years, I think they've been chosen as part of the draw to face Forge. CF Montreal have, and I would say arguably since Wilfred Nancy left after 2022. So yeah, 23, 24, and now this year. So 3 years running, I think they've faced Forge in Canadian championships. You could argue that Forge were the favorites. And I think Forge, have drawn a lot lately. I think they've maybe only won one match in the last 5, but they're terrific at home. So I think that adds to kind of a tick in the pro column for them facing CF Montreal, who will be without Joel Waterman, right? As he drags down Bryn Hilson and gets sent off in that. And that was the beginning of the end for them, even though they looked bright when they started. And just going back to what you said about a resurgent TFC, it might be argued, and maybe this is just taking the focus off of how bad and how poor CF Montreal have been. Can they be resurgent and reborn if they win 6-1 versus CF Montreal? Yeah, I think you have to take that into context, don't you? A little bit?
Jimmy, do you?
Yeah, you do.
No, but credit to them because they did put up 6. So obviously that's great. Puts them on the right track. But I think you do have to factor in the opponent.
Well, 6-1 was a popular scorer line, wasn't it? Just saying.
Shut up. Shut.
Montreal is not going to be wanting to play this match, though.
No, they'll be dreading it.
Oh,
well, they've got to play someone, though, haven't they? They can't just stop playing and just give up. So, isn't it better to play a team that should be below them in the old hierarchy of Canadian soccer? A team that, frankly, they should beat. Or is that the problem? Would they rather play a really great team and be the underdogs for this bounce back game following that awful performance in the weekend?
I think with the manager, after that result, getting pumped by one of your rivals, the last thing you want to play is Forge right now. Because if you lose that one, then you're starting to think, okay, I'm done here. I'm finished. I got to start looking for another job. That's what you don't want to play. You don't want to play one of these teams that's kind of that banana skin that could end up really destroying the club. And when I say destroying the club, I mean just psychologically, the emotions are low right now. That they're not in a good space, Montreal. And if you lose against Forge, it's going to be even worse. And then you're looking for answers, and you're not going to find them.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But I think that, per my point, where Forge have gotten the better of MLS sides, especially in the way of CF Montreal in this competition, that maybe that's a little bit of a tired argument. That when you're talking about a dynasty in CPL, that they can compete anytime they face an MLS team in the Canadian Championships. And Vancouver Whitecaps are a different beast this season. But I could say, like, with some confidence that over the last couple of years, with the force that Forge is in their own competition, when they step into the Canadian Championships, they are giant killers. And it's maybe a little bit lazy to say, yeah, of course it's a banana skin opponent, right? For CF Montreal, it will make matters worse if they do go down to Forge. But I think for Forge to beat them, I think is almost expected at this point.
They still haven't won a championship out there.
What's that, Jimmy?
I said they still haven't won a Canadian championship. They've got
no, but they've beaten CF Montreal consistently, right? And so for them, the mindset is let's just do it again.
Yeah.
I found the odds and they're it's hard to find odds actually for the Canadian Championship. The ones I found have actually Montreal as slight favorites, but just slight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They will do because they look at the league, they'll look at the roster, the player. Mm-hmm. So they are favorites, of course.
But it is two-legged too, right? That's also interesting. It's not a one-off. And I know whenever we speak of Canadian championships and these one-offs, I know from your consensus that it's much easier to win a one-game sudden death penalty kicks than it is two matches, against a better team, a higher league. Right?
No, exactly. Normally the quality does come out when you play home and away, right? The one-off matches, they're cup finals, so especially for lower league teams. It's like the FA Cup and all those domestic tournaments around the world. When you play those one-off games, normally it's the lower teams are way more up for it than what the bigger teams are.
We'll get to Palace Man City in a little bit, by the way. Have plenty to say about that. But yeah, I mean, it was an embarrassing loss. 6-1's embarrassing, no matter what the sport. 6-1's embarrassing. Infuriating for the fan base. Awful. Terrible.
Not the first time they lost 6-1 to Toronto, though, is it?
At home, even.
In Montreal. Canadian Championship.
Yeah, remember that? That was amazing. Yeah.
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 Let
me ask you, the Waterman, I watched that back and was it for sure the defender wouldn't have covered? Wasn't talked about much in the broadcast. I wasn't completely sure about that.
I watched it a couple times as well because my first reaction was to say that Bugai, I think, would have gotten there. Or whoever it was that was coming back on that right. He's actually the right back, but I think he was on the left at that point. Or maybe it was Petrasso. But anyway, I think though, in rewatching it, I watched it 2 or 3 or 4 times back. I think it was the right call because you see it like in tight, and it's for sure like he clears his legs, he doesn't touch the ball, right? Mm-hmm. But then it's like denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. I think that it is because like if another touch on that and he's in the clear, Brynhilsen, he would be at the top of the 18 at that point. Mm-hmm. Before anybody would be even close to putting some back pressure on him. So I think that was the right call.
The fact that it deprived potentially a goal after that little spin probably makes it worth a red card because it was a great spin. Mm-hmm. It was beautiful. And Brynhilsen needs it, right? He's been a pretty slow start to his TFC career. He did score though finally as well. So good for him. Maybe that's the start of something special for TFC. We'll see. Can they build on it? I'm gonna find out, I suppose. But elsewhere in MLS this past weekend, decent weekend actually for Canadian players, right? Tani Olawase, nice little backheel goal there for Minnesota against St. Louis. Overseas, by the way, Tajon against Barcelona scored.
Amazing.
Promise David scored, and Kone. Did you see that beauty against Marseille teams?
Yeah, takes a deflection, but still a fabulous hit.
Yeah, belted it. Carl Laren scored as well. It was John David's last game for Lille, Craig. And boy, I mean, they love him there, don't they? You were talking about it on the dark web. I think you actually went on Twitter as well. To see a club and its fans give a farewell to a player who's leaving for bigger and better things, he hopes. Says a lot about that guy and where he stands in Lille.
Yeah, it's rare. You don't see it very often where a player is leaving a club and leaving a club with such high regard. Like fans love him. They wish him the best. Very rare in European football. They're
Well, look
usually
at the way
going to
Trent's
slaughter
being,
you.
the way Trent's being handled right now at Liverpool.
Mhm.
It's not cool. I don't
It's
think.
not. Did you hear Andy Robertson talk about that? Obviously one of his best mates, but he said, I thought it was really kind of measured, because obviously you want to go in, you want to admonish fans, you know, and be protective, immediately go into like mama or papa bear mode, right? To protect your buddy and your teammate. But he said, I can't tell you how to feel, right? To see like a legend leave the club. And obviously there's going to be mixed emotions, but I think there has to be the respect that's built in. So it was really well said by him, if you want to go back and listen to that soundbite. But you're right, Forrest. It's a rarity, I think, in pro sports, but especially in football, to leave and to be lauded like that, and to be clapped off and regard and held in such high regard. So looking forward to seeing where he's off to. But did you guys see that Promise David now is being rumored to perhaps going to League One over from Belgium?
Maybe even Lille.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? It makes sense. There's history there. I wonder if it's partly, though, because you're conditioned as a fan of Lille to see your players take the next step, right? Because you understand you're not the biggest team, Jimmy. Whereas at Liverpool, you see yourself as being, listen, well, you can't get bigger than this or better than this. Why would you? How could you possibly want to leave? Is that the difference here?
Yeah, I think, you know, when you look at a lot of League One teams, or even teams all around Europe in general, at the end of the day, the majority they're feeders, right? So the produced players develop them, sell them on, make money. And Lille understands where they are in the pecking order. They know they can't compete with the big clubs in Europe. And when you have a special talent that comes along and produces for you, and they've got to move on to that next step, then, you know, the fans, they showed it. They're appreciative of the work that the individuals put in. And, you know, when I look at Liverpool and you see Trent's done everything for Liverpool. He's won absolutely everything that there is. He's won a Premier League. He's won Champions League, you know, the FIFA Club World Cup. So when a player who's come through your system, who's give everything to the club and wants to move on, wants another challenge, maybe experience another culture, I think you have to be appreciative of that. And I understand, well, he's from Liverpool and he's come through the system. He needs to be here for the whole duration of his career. I don't agree. I think the fans should be appreciating him and you know, let him explore his journey and support him.
I think especially since he's going elsewhere, right, Forrest? Like he's going to Real, and maybe like John David wouldn't be, you know, getting the type of adulation that he's receiving if he was going to PSG. Obviously, it would be a different story, right? So maybe like as a fan, you're better able to compartmentalize it and to appreciate what they've done for your club, because you know you might face them in one of these big competitions. You might face them again in Champions League, but for the most part, they're going to be doing it in a different league. Do you think that makes it a little bit more palatable?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. If he all of a sudden signed for PSG, they might change their tune a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a club too that could have cashed in on him a year and a half ago before his contract runs out.
Right.
They got great value for him, but still, you know, most clubs will get to a point with a player like this where we're now going to dip into the market and try to get something back for him.
Yeah.
They might have got 60-70 million for him.
Yeah, they could have. And then you kind of look at it and think, okay, well, do we sell him, or this guy is going to get us back into Champions League, or is he going to get us back into Europe? Right? We don't know what the next guy is going to do, and then all of a sudden we're finishing mid-table. So it's a difficult situation. I'm sure there was some great conversations behind the scenes, but I think they've done it right, because he's off, but they're still in Europe.
Right.
True.
And again, that's the reason why I think the criticism of Trent is unfair, is because he ran his contract down. He didn't demand a transfer mid-contract. He did it the right way. Sure, they could have cashed in and made lots of money, but he also helped them get to the Champions League and win a championship. So yeah, he's leaving for free, which you never really want to see. Again, another Maple Leaf, a little synergy there happening. Players walking out the door rather than actually providing real value during the season. Rantanen, God damn it. Anyway, I'm still.
Why would you bring that into your discussion?
I can't. It's dominating my thought process. Still, it's been rough. It's a rough loss on Sunday for us Leaf fans. A particularly rough one.
48 hours later, it's still rough.
It really is. At least I had Liverpool. champions. But yeah, that I think most fans at Liverpool understand and appreciate what he did. But I guess they're different situations. Where will John David end up? I know Matty Shinetti's been on the case and saying he'll have an answer in 2 to 3 weeks, which makes obviously a lot of sense. But where Inter Milan was the most recent one, really hot and heavy rumors regarding that, which would be a great move for him. But from a selfish standpoint, we discussed it before. I want to see him in England. I don't watch the Serie A. I want to watch the Premier every weekend with John David. But Inter, if that is the final destination, is a pretty great team to go to. It's going to be a potential European champion. Would you rather go, Jimmy, to a European champion or a team that just fell short, that still hasn't reached the peak, and that perhaps a team that you can power to the peak?
Well, that's a good question. I think I would personally go with the team that's won a championship. Yeah, team that's won a championship, because then they're proven winners. They know how to win. They know the sacrifice that needs to go into it. That's what I would do personally. But I think, there's still that talk about him going to Barcelona. That's a club. That's his boyhood dream, was to play for Barcelona. So that's still on the table. I could imagine him going there.
And most recently, I think it's Napoli who's put forth an offer, according to Fabrizio Romano. Juve has also reportedly been. Who hasn't been associated or linked with Jonathan David at this point, right?
Yeah.
But he said a few times now that his favorite and preferred league is La Liga. Mm-hmm. That's a league that he watched growing up.
Jesse Marsh was talking about this over the weekend in a press availability, which we forgot about. Didn't forget about
Holiday Monday.
Holiday Monday.
Monday. Let's be honest.
Our good folks at The Athletic have it covered. Josh Cloak, as usual. So some of the quotes are from Jesse Marsh. Knowing Johnny, he's going to want to play. He's going to want to go to the best club he can be at, and I think achieve the most in terms of what it would mean to compete for trophies in Europe. But he's going to want to play as well, and I think that's important. I think the most important thing for him is it's not good if he goes somewhere and then he has to play on the bench a lot and not get minutes to keep himself sharp and fit and ready to go, especially with the World Cup being a year away. Is that what he thinks John David thinks, or is that what Jesse Marsh really is hoping John David thinks? Is he sending a message? John, we need minutes here. We need minutes. Please go somewhere where you're going to play. Because, World Cup next year.
Oh, he's got a point.
He does.
Yeah.
But I think wherever he goes, he's going to be playing.
I have to say, he's playing it pretty well, though, John David, because I assume, and these are big assumptions, that his agent's working extra hard. He's probably got it narrowed down right now. And just to get that send-off and not let anything sneak out, back to your point about what clubs, what leagues, and, and I was just watching the fans clap him off and his teammates hugging him as he went off for the last time. And it was emotional but exceptional and memorable because the fans were all behind it. But had it leaked out that, hey, he's going to play at PSG or play, against someone Lille has competed with historically, that changes the dynamic immediately, right? To maybe an Alexander-Arnold approach where they're like, screw him. I don't care about his legacy. I don't care about his goals to games ratio, any of that. It changes everything, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, then when he would come back to his home ground, they'd boo him.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's done well. He done well. It was a great, going back to when he made the decision to go to Lille. He really played that well too. It was a perfect club for him. Talk about getting an opportunity. They stuck with him. I think he didn't start off particularly well out of the gates for him, but he soon found his feet and was brilliant over his period there.
He must be having a laugh with all the speculation now. Just looking at his phone, Napoli, nope. Juve, no. Man United, nope.
What a place to be. You're right, eh? What a place to be.
And there was a post, I saw a post that was like, John David going to make his decision over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Really? Of course.
He's a free agent.
Yeah.
So you think it's already done? You think it's done and dusted? He knows at this point?
There's a fair chance.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Fair chance.
Yeah.
Vanessa
to 2
Gilles
or
also in
3.
France this weekend, by the way. She had played the last game for Lyon, leaves as champion. So unheralded perhaps, but what a career for her at Lyon as well. Where is she off to? Do we know?
Bayern.
Munich.
Bayern Munich. That's right. Of course it is.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep, they've got in need of some reinforcements in that back line.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, if a certain podcast had any kind of money, heading over to Germany for a little feature on Bayern Munich and the Canadian contingent would be pretty amazing, wouldn't it? That'd be great. If the media in this country gave a shit about that, they'd be sending people over there right now.
Yeah, but that would be a very fun trip.
It would.
But the
interesting,
the interesting thing there with Vanessa Gilles is that she had expressed that she would not feel comfortable coming back to the United States, given the current political climate, right? And for the longest time, like she played the first matches for Angel City FC when they were like their inaugural year in NWSL. And then very quickly went out on loan to Lyon, who recently rebranded. I don't know if you guys saw this. But anyway, so they have like a new majority owner there. Michelle Kang is involved as well. So they have they've kind of differentiated themselves from, the juggernaut that is Olympique Lyonnais. Like they have their own brand, their own logo now. I think to represent the women's side there, who has obviously been winning for a long, long time now. But back to Vanessa Gilles. So she goes over to Bayern Munich. Her loan spell will officially come to an end in June. But in a strange little twist of fate, the head coach, Strauss, is leaving the German club to go coach at Angel City FC. Which is interesting. But I think that's a good move for her. And Magdalena Eriksson, who's a stalwart at the back there, has also struggled with injuries, as well as her captain, biggest daughter. So I think she'll be in a good spot where she will continue to be kind of prioritized and leaned on as a world-class center back, which she is, with Lyon, not to say that she wasn't seen as that player anymore, but I think you go somewhere and you will be highly valued, and she will continue to grow as a player because that's what she's done over the course of her kind of young-ish career as a pro and with the women's national team, right? Like, do you remember when she joined the team, they won the gold, the women's national team in 2021 in that COVID win in Tokyo? She was only on 6 caps. So that's only like a little over a cycle ago. And she, to me, is one of the first names on that team sheet now for Casey Stoney.
How many champs we got this year in women's soccer? Because Chelsea just got the treble, didn't they, in the weekend as well?
They did. Yeah, they rolled in that FA Cup.
Yeah.
Sonia Bonpastar didn't miss a beat, taking over from Emma Hayes, even a bigger winning percentage. But Ashley Lawrence was an unused sub in that match, which I don't like very much.
No, I'm going to say, is it time for her to look elsewhere? Not getting minutes, is she?
No.
Because
I mean, she's getting minutes, but starting less and less and less kind of significant ones, I think, where she can always be impactful.
Arguably Canada's best player over the last 5 years, 6 years. Arguably,
sure.
You could debate there, right? She's got to start games for a club. She has to.
Agreed.
Pretty big tournament coming up, not so long from now.
Yeah, but to be a little bit critical of Ashley Lawrence, I think that the ceiling on her is very, very high. And Rian has spoken about this. Rian coached Ashley Lawrence through the youth programs with the Canadian national teams. And I think that she can hit another level. So if she's not doing it at Chelsea, is she going to do it anywhere else? Because you have to think the day in, day out, the daily training, the daily demands on you to raise your game, that's the place where you want to be. And then she's not done that yet for club or country. So that, gives me a little bit of pause. But maybe she just needs to go somewhere and have a different coach, different attitude, different mindset, and that might unlock it. But I hope so for Canada, because she can give better performances, I think, in big games, but also consistently over friendlies.
Do we know how Kadisha Buchanan's recovery is going?
Don't know.
No? maybe something the broadcast can look into.
Maybe
Tomorrow, by the way, you're recording a broadcast.
today.
Today, yeah. Is it dropping today or dropping tomorrow?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we're going to do
Probably tomorrow.
our week 5 best 11
Mm-hmm.
with Signa Butler, Shireen Ahmed, and special guest AC Lang of W Soccer.
Oh,
nice.
cool.
Excellent. Well, this is why there will be a Northern Super Summary today. It's Tuesday. We're kind of a little bit past that. Same with the Seatbelt Corner. Okay, so fear not. It will return. Just we're covering it this week. Trust us. Don't worry about it. FA Cup. Let's get to it, shall we? Crystal Palace champions, beating Man City with 22% possession. It's like Leicester back in their pomp. Amazing, fantastic performance. Dean Henderson, Craig. I mean, what a performance he had. What do you make of Pep kind of remonstrating with him post-match?
Well, a little bit about the handball. I think he was kind of giving him giving them finger a little bit, like waving him off, and then Dean Henderson said he just told him to stay humble, Pep.
Too late, Dean.
To be fair, I don't know how VAR missed that. Clearly a handball outside the box, and
doesn't that quieten all those people that think that the big clubs always get the big calls and how the authorities want the big clubs to win the big trophies?
Yeah,
there's your evidence there. That's not the case.
Mm-hmm. What an amazing club! Crystal Palace, always a great place to play. Sellers Park, great atmosphere. 120 years, never won a trophy, but they've got these diehard supporters that are just, it's proper. It's a real football club and community-driven, family-type club. And wow, it's just the scenes and these people that are as old as, well, there's somebody there who's in her 90s, isn't there? And there's a guy in his 70s, and like, it's just, yeah, it's just brilliant, isn't it? Sport is just absolutely brilliant. Seeing the emotions of the fans, and after all those years, well deserved, guys.
Crystal Palace till I die, right, Greg?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw it. It was on social where they had this guy asking the fans saying, would you rather see Crystal Palace win a trophy and then never get to watch them again, or they lose and then you can continue watching them for the rest of your life? And everybody said win a trophy, and they actually ended up winning the FA Cup, which was brilliant.
I mean, it's unlikely that will ever be an actual situation for someone.
Don't ruin the moment, Sharks.
Yeah. Maybe someone had a heart attack, possibly. At the game or at home watching that. It's possible. My mate's granddad died watching Arsenal win. I think it's the George Graham 91, was it, when George Graham's Arsenal won? Forget.
Grim Reaper.
No, my mate's Adrian Stubbings, my mate in England. His granddad, diehard Arsenal fan, hadn't seen Arsenal win for a long time at that point, and they won. I know it was the Michael Thomas Arsenal when they picked Liverpool to the title. And he had
literal diehard.
Yeah.
It didn't die that hard, though. It was pretty quick, apparently. But yeah, he died with a smile on his face. What a way to go. But yeah,
sorry, Hans Gruber is what you were looking for there.
I was going to say to Jimmy and Forrest, maybe you too, Sharms, because I didn't watch it live, but we got it when we were prepping for the AFC Toronto Halifax Tides match in studio. The word came through. I think it was Marmouche missing and Henderson saving the penalty. It was strange that Holland didn't take that, But anyway, great save. But like the production kind of room erupted, and I was like, "What's happening?" And they're like, "Saved it." So I'm just always happy. I was rooting less for Palace to win and more for City to lose. But anyway, as a Liverpool fan, but what the hell was I going to mention there? Oh no, about the tifo. No, yes, a little bit of spite, but the tifo. So like for those of you that watch, so I know Forrest, you shared some of this great sort of the sentimental aspect of a club like Palace winning after 119 years. And it was a great tifo of two boys hugging their dad, who is since deceased, and they were in the stands, correct?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
But there was
that just it just shows you what the club's all about, because everybody knows about that tifo and that particular moment that was caught on television. What year was it? 2012, I want to say, something like that. But this FA Cup that they seem to try to destroy over the years, it just keeps popping back up with these terrific memories and moments that everybody appreciates. They just cannot kill that cup off. It's just too good.
Those images from the stands were just incredible. The tears, genuine emotion.
Yeah,
it was truly beautiful, right? And just you can look at sport, and we can hammer sport and the way it's become consumer driven. The love of the game still remains in those stands, the diehards. It's brilliant. So to the TFC faithful, not so faithful, who aren't watching, Brad Humber, I'm looking at you. All right, I know it's painful. I get it, but don't quit. Because when the glory returns, and it will at some point, maybe sporadically, maybe for one season, one good cup run, whatever it is, it'll be worth it. Like those fans show, they've been up and down. They've been a yo-yo club for a long time in many regards, and they finally had their day at Wembley. And my God, they'll never forget it.
Yeah, everybody deserves to have that experience once as a fan, at least once.
And the TFC fans have had it. Right, they have won a championship in recent memory. Anyway, sorry, Dubs, go ahead.
There's a true kind of feel-good aspect to the story for Palace for me, because in a season, I think we've talked about this, that failed to generate a lot of drama or surprise. Like, you've got Liverpool that was maybe long since determined that they were going to win the league, but then you get Newcastle who wins the Carabao Cup, but then they've got the backing where it maybe sullies it a little bit, right, with the Saudi Arabian money. But then this Palace is truly, I think, what the game is about, where anybody looks at that and they think, whether you're a fan or you're involved as a club, that it's possible. And it gives you that hope. We always talk about it's the hope that kills you. But I think Palace truly, represents that. And that's what makes this victory, I think, good for the sport, good for football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Newcastle was at 50 years since they'd won a trophy. And
that's true. It's been a good year for that, hasn't it? These rewarding these long-suffering fan bases. It's been brilliant. Great little comment here by Craig Hope in the Daily Express, talking about Oliver Glasner versus Pep Guardiola and his players, mentioning particularly Jack Grealish and Eze for Palace. He says, Oliver Glasner's team have structure, yes, but Eze is the jazz soloist. Why would he want to be lost amid the choir at City? Because rumours about him going to Man City. Look at what has happened to Jack Grealish, from Roy of the Rovers at Aston Villa to Roy of the Rovers' return in Manchester. Too cautious, too functional. He has won medals, but his free spirit has been placed under lock and key. I love that. The jazz soloist versus being lost amongst the choir at Man City. And Pep's brilliant. He's probably the best manager, so we've been told by the experts that we've ever seen. But he does have such a system in place. He does seem to take away that free spiritness, which his Barcelona teams had. They had that. He's become too system-oriented, I think. Yeah. City's boring to watch. Mm-hmm. How's that possible when you have so much possession? They're boring to watch. And I think he needs to let go of that. Let his players play, Craig. A little bit.
I don't know.
Take that lock and unlock it.
They're boring lately because they haven't been bit very well, but when they're at their very best, I wouldn't say they're boring.
Jimmy?
I agree with Stacks.
So no, Sharp.
I find them boring. They pass the ball 1,000 million times laterally, and this year they haven't found that final pass.
It's like that. It's like that Simpsons Peru versus Chile, when they just pass it back and forth.
You're talking about a manager, right? And knows exactly how he wants to play, and he knows exactly how to win. Well, Barcelona was the exact same, and he ended up getting rid of players that couldn't buy into what he was preaching. He wanted wide players to stay wide, certain movements, certain patterns, and then he cruised through La Liga. Then he goes to Bayern. He's got a certain way that he wants to play, and if the players can't play that way, then you got to move on. And the same thing for Man City. So if he brought you in, Sharms, and said, Sharms, I need you to play this way, and you're going to win trophies. And you're like, no, I want to express myself and be creative.
I want to be a free spirit.
I want to be a free spirit and do whatever I want to do.
But he had more free spirits at Barcelona. I mean, listen, Messi's Messi. Okay, it's pretty unfair, but he was a free spirit. He gave him there's a certain role, obviously, but he said, well, listen, do what you want to do. The rest of the guys be more structured.
You're talking about Messi.
Right. But why would you sign a player like Jack Grealish, who was a free spirit of Villa, was incredible, and then he comes to City and it just hasn't worked out for him because he isn't as effective in that system. Don't you think he's changed? He's become more cynical over the years? Pep?
Who? Pep?
Pep. Yeah.
No.
You
I don't
don't?
think so.
Well,
Won 4
Craig
titles
Fogel
in
and
a
Daily
row.
Express would disagree. We're out of time. We've got a guest coming up, which is going to roll in tomorrow's show, I think. So we've got to go.
No,
so
probably
let's
Thursdays.
agree that you guys are wrong, and Dubs in her silence is supporting me. Okay, and
I was going to weigh in, but it's going to take too long.
We'll continue this. Let's continue this. I want to hear from the listeners too and viewers. Let us know. Has Pep changed? Is Man City boring to watch? That's the question. Agree, disagree. We'll break it down later this week, and we'll hear from Dubs as well because we have to go now. Otherwise, it'd be very, very rude for us to keep our guests waiting. So that's Footy Prime. Make sure you like us, subscribe, watch us on YouTube if you get a chance, and listen otherwise. So until next time, cheers for watching and listening. Bye-bye.